every time you talk, you've got to click a button?
Go.
We're live?
Here we are.
Great. All right. Thanks for joining us. So, on the program, again, we're talking about several things. Just my stack of stuff that I find interesting that's off the beaten path of the mainstream media and even the local media. And especially things that I think you have to be aware of that really affect our quality of life and economy. And one of the things I consider to be one of the most essential aspects of life in Utah is the overpopulation of our cities. I think that's a problem. And the underpopulation of our rural areas. And the undervaluing of the economic interests of rural areas in Utah. And it's, of course, not only in Utah, it's all over the United States. Rural areas are suffering big time, their economies. And it's because these woke environmentalist types want to tell rural people, you can't extract minerals from the ground. You can't extract oil and gas from the ground. You can't do this and that you've always relied upon. Cattle ranching, raising animals. You got to stop doing what you're doing and do things and allow us to impose our laws and regulations on you. The problem we have here is that rural people, they want to live a lifestyle that's a lot different than city people. They want to live in less populated areas. They want to enjoy the night sky. They want to be able to raise bigger families typically. And in doing so, they need to live on less money. They know that. But when you take away their means to earn a living, you inhibit them to be able to live that lifestyle. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This article from the Western Farmer Stockman brought it up in the last segment. Oregon initiative would ban animal slaughter and breeding. Seriously, they have an initiative going on right now in Oregon that would call slaughter aggravated abuse and redefine AI and castration as sexual assault against animals. So they would make Oregon a sanctuary state for animals. So there's 500,000 cattle right now in Oregon. The ranchers wouldn't be able to kill them, slaughter them for meat. People of the United States would not be able to consume that meat. And we all consume a lot of meat, and we all need a lot of animal protein in this country. So this, excuse me. So this initiative would completely ban the practice of raising animals. And so all these, woke people are gathering signatures. They're trying to put a ballot initiative together. They're trying to protect these animals. But here's what I have to say is there's 12,000 beef producers, 12,000 families. What do you think these people are going to do? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to just start vegan restaurants in their little towns? They're going to start little boutique shops selling vegan keychains and vegan leather products? I just don't understand why the rationale of thinking doesn't go beyond, I've heard some terrible things about the way they raise cattle. And as I was bringing up in the last segment, if you don't like the way cattle are raised, then don't buy factory farm beef. Buy pasture finished beef. That's what makes all the difference. If you buy pasture finished beef, I believe our camera just cut out for a second there. We are working out all of our little bugs and snags, and you can tell I've been sick this last few days, so bear with me. But the problem is that they want to get up on their soapbox and say all beef ranchers are evil. The way they raise beef is evil. I don't like CAFOs. I'm one of the first people who I drive past the feedlot, a confined animal feedlot operation, and I'm really disgusted by it. That's why I eat pasture-raised beef. That's why Canyon Meadows has been such an awesome sponsor on this program. Canyon Meadows grass-fed beef. Go visit them at CMR Beef. They're not even a sponsor right now, but I love their products. I love what they do. I've been to their ranch. Their ranches are full of these incredible pastures, these wonderful, happy cows. You can't say anything about their ecology other than it's beautiful. It's a magnificent area in Utah, and they only improve the soil conditions of the pastures by raising more and more beef there. So it's just incredible that this is happening, and it's happening in Colorado as well. You're a beef eater, right, Jackie?
Yes, I am a beef eater.
Have you ever considered vegan, and do you have vegan friends?
I do have some vegan friends, some vegetarian friends, but they'll still eat like restricted stuff like eggs, of course. But usually, if they're gonna stay away from beef, it's pork, beef, the whole 9 yards. They're away from that bigger animal for their source of protein. I don't disagree, but I also agree. Like I love eating my meat, but I want my meat to come from somewhere where it's not making a detrimental hole in the society. Like it also comes down with the water supply right now. Like farms need water.
Uh-huh.
I mean, farms definitely need water, but they're not getting enough water to provide our food or even feed those cats. You know, like for the beef that we put out in these awesome local places.
Yeah, beef definitely require a lot of water to produce. There's no question about it. You look at the animal industry, and you look at the requirements, and to raise the feed that cows feed upon requires a tremendous amount of water. But look at vegans. Do you know a lot of really healthy looking vegans, like vigorous, healthy, strong? I just see.
They look a little frail.
Yeah, I mean, I've known two hardcore vegans, and they were both ladies, and I can say when they are one of them, she's not as hardcore as the other, but they just look like they could blow away with a strong wind. And I just think that I've heard it's possible you can be vegan, but you have to be so on top of your diet and regimen to figure out how you can replace those animal proteins with, I suppose, vegetable protein to somehow make up for all the deficiencies. It's like we have to consume meat to stay healthy. And there's really no two ways about it. And if you want to eat Beyond Burgers, I don't know, maybe that can fill the gap. I really can't say I know.
Maybe, Richard, that we should do some fact checks and see exactly what goes in those burgers for fast food.
Yeah,
Where is that coming from?
I've tried Beyond Burgers a few times, and they're fine. I think they taste fine, but I think cattle ranching and the cattle industry, it actually helps the ecology of a landscape. Like you look at a whole area in like Utah, a desert landscape where you've got grasses, you've got bushes, you've got all sorts of crap. The ranchers leasing out this land, BLM land from the BLM for, a few bucks per acre. And if they don't graze an area and they just let it go, it actually is not, the ecology is not as strong as if animals graze it. And that's a fact that the environmental movement, they disregard. You can actually improve an ecology by having large herbivores graze on that habitat. And so I think that a lot of disinformation has gone out to these vegans, and they're just not looking at all the facts. So with that, I want to move on to the last story, which is our homeless update. I want to play for you a clip of downtown Salt Lake City. This is going to be from Dropbox. Just bear with me one moment here. Believe this is it. No, that's not it.
We are so prepared today, Richard.
Yeah, I'm doing awesome.
This is 100% effort on a Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm afraid it's not in here. Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully we can play it in post while I'm talking right now, but you're not going to be able to see it live. But it's a clip of me going around with my kid in downtown Salt Lake City. I was on Rio Grande Street, in front of all the homeless services where the former downtown homeless shelter used to be. And we drove around, and I'm just noticing there are so many more homeless people than there were in the middle of winter in this area. And I know why, and I know what's going on, but I don't think a lot of people do. And what's gone on is they closed Fort Pioneer. It was this giant homeless encampment. Did you know about Fort Pioneer by chance?
I did.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yep.
So Fort Pioneer had about 100 people camping in tents. Some of them were in little trailers, RVs. A lot of homeless advocates were going there and giving out food. They actually had one trailer somebody donated with electricity rigged up, so all the homeless people could charge their cell phones. They could go get warm. They could get blankets. They could convene. And they had this community. And it wasn't by any means like nice. I wouldn't call it nice, but it was organized and it was clean. Like you didn't have any foul smells. Like most homeless places you go where they're camping outside, it just smells like human fecal matter. This did not smell bad, and everybody was taking a lot of pride in it. And there was a little bike shop there, and I did a story on it on utahstories.com, how the mayor decided to shut down this camp and abate it. And if you don't know, we've now spent almost $1 million in police overtime hours shutting down homeless encampments, cleaning them up, paying police officers to go in with backhoes and with sanitation equipment, clean up homeless encampments. About $1 million we spent this year because this is our mayor's plan right now. This is Mayor Mendenhall's plan to just keep abating all these camps as they pop up while there are not enough beds anymore for homeless people, where the homeless people don't have anywhere to go. And what I see happening now as a result of Fort Pioneer closing, this 150 people who got kicked out of there, is they're camping now instead on streets like Rio Grande Street, Main Street in downtown Salt Lake City, and they have nowhere to go, so they're right on the main streets in the most visible places in the worst possible areas. And I just think that the mayor needs to be pressured to come up with a better plan than just spending $1 million on cleanup efforts, abatement efforts, kicking them out efforts. And I've been contacted by a woman who works with all papers, the New York Times, as well as Time Magazine, Getty Images. She's a really prestigious photographer. She lives and works in Utah. She's contacted me that she's been covering this for the past 5 years for the national media. And she's absolutely amazed that the local media is not covering this issue in the complete human catastrophe this has turned into. Because what's going on here is these homeless people just keep getting kicked out. And the hope is that they'll have so much pressure that they'll move someplace else. And fine, that's what they want to have happen. But it's not happening. And I think it is a catastrophe. And they just cleaned up another encampment in North Salt Lake. I think that one grew to be about 40 people. But it's just been a devastating to actually go sit down and talk to these homeless people. It's been devastating to them, and it's going to be an ongoing series that we're going to be doing here on the Utah Stories show. We're going to go out and talk to homeless people. We're going to share with you those clips, and we're going to have a homeless advocate on the program to address the concerns, needs, problems that the homeless community is running into. That's what we want to do with this Voice of Local Utah podcast. is share with you truth, not truthiness or some personal truth, but try to find facts and truth and the voices of local Utah and share that with you and share and then hold our leadership accountable to what the truth is that's actually going on. And I think our mayor has gotten a big a pass from the local media. From what you knew, what did you know about Fort Pioneer? Did you have any interaction with the people there?
I didn't necessarily have exactly any personal relation there, but I definitely saw a bunch of headlines, photos. I created my own personal opinions on it. I don't think that basically shoveling homeless's homes and shoveling them out and digging them out it's not going to solve anything. It's not. It's just migrating the homeless to go somewhere else and create another encampment, and then it's just going to be an ongoing cycle of scariness, and that's not how you technically solve a problem like that. Necessarily, some might actually need some medical attention. Some might be, in a psychotic realm. They might even be out there by choice, like
Yeah.
we had explained before.
Yeah, it's like I'd say at least 80% of these people are addicted to drugs or have mental issues. I'd say probably 20% of them are temporarily homeless. But the people who have mental issues and who are addicted to drugs, and there's a lot of overlap in those communities, they need to have caseworkers. And I've interviewed a lot of these people. They're not getting the proper caseworker attention that they need, first of all, and then a lot of them are taking the worst drugs you can possibly imagine. They're interacting and buying and trafficking in drugs, and it's Mexican drug cartel drugs, and they're getting their fix. They're camping out because, of course, they're not going to be admitted to the shelter. But none of them that I've talked to have really said that there's ongoing caseworker support. None of them I've talked to have said that the Salt Lake Homeless Services are serving their needs other than giving them blankets. They certainly get a lot of blankets. They get a lot of free stuff. And that's, I think, thanks to the super amazing generosity of the people who live in Salt Lake City. People just want to give free food to homeless people, especially when it's cold out. And that's great, but they're not getting off drugs, and they're not getting their mental issues solved. There's got to be changes made in this space. And so we want to reach out to you, our viewers and our listeners and watchers. What are your ideas? What should we be doing that we're not doing? What should the mayor be doing that she's not doing? I have a few ideas I want to share, and so this is just the beginning of us launching this initiative where we want to reach out to the voices of local Utah and the homeless community, and then get the support needed from the homeless advocates, the homeless community, the homeless support community, in how do we better spend this massive increase that's been allocated for spending in a better way, because we're now spending 600% more than we were 5 years ago. And, it looks like by far the majority of that money is going to the Housing First program. I'm not going to get too far into the Housing First program on this show, but what it is, it's free supportive housing for the chronically homeless. And if you don't know about Housing First, the whole idea is put people in housing first and then let them deal with their problems second. And that the latest thing that the Housing First initiative built and bought was this Magnolia project, which was a $16 million project to build beautiful apartments downtown near Gormandy's Pastry Bakery, if you know where that is, on like 3rd East and 2nd South, and put these people up in quartz countertopped patios with amazing amenities, and supply 65 units absolutely free. No strings attached. You don't need to quit your drugs. You can stay completely mental. And I went and observed this place it's probably been about a month ago. And when I arrived, there was a guy singing and dancing on his patio, which was, cool. Fine. But why should anybody be entitled to free, absolutely free housing with no strings attached? I don't get that. I don't quite understand it. So we'll talk more about that. I've definitely delved in pretty deep into that issue. I want to bring on advocates for housing first and people against it, and we'll delve into that. So with that, I think that's going to be the end of this live stream of the Utah Stories show. It's been for sure real. I've been coughing half the time. We've had technical problems, but it's only our second live stream. I hope you bear with us. Give this show a thumbs up, this video a thumbs up. Go subscribe to Utah Stories. We've got a special awesome offer. Whoops. If you subscribe to Utah Stories magazine for just $2 a month, we will send you a bonus issue. It's our 10-year anniversary issue. It's probably the coolest overall Best of Utah Stories issue that we've done in a long time. We've got a really cool story about Bigfoot and Mormon lore. We've got stories about how Magna was founded. We always do like history, technology, marketplace innovators, just a whole collection of awesome stories that you get. There's also a Salt Lake City dining guide in the center. So if you're, wanting to find the best dining options in Salt Lake City, you'll get that. But the best is to get Utah Stories magazine delivered to your door, to your mailbox for $2 a month, every single month. It's a great way to support everything we do here at Utah Stories, mainly presenting the voice of local Utah. You can go visit utahstories.com, and up here in the top right-hand corner, click on subscribe, and you'll see our subscription form that you fill out, and that would be awesome. And you can also, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like thumbs up, subscribe to our Instagram, and that will also help us out as well. So with that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. This has been Rich Markosian and Jackie Kling. See you.